Hey y'all, welcome back. If you don't know me, I'm TK, and this channel is all about doing some makeup, doing some food, like we're gonna do tonight, and having a lot of fun. So if that sounds like a good time to you, then go ahead, hit that subscribe button, and make sure your notifications are turned on, and leave a like on this video. Thanks very much. How's everybody doing tonight? It is Foodie Friday. This one comes as a special request from Mascaras and Mixers, who you probably already know is my niece. She and her family visited down here in North Carolina last October. And we treated them to something from a restaurant local here called Country Barbecue. They are known for their pork tenderloin biscuit. And she liked it so much. She was like, hey, you got to figure out how to get me some of them pork tenderloin biscuits. I said, well, they're actually not that hard to make. They are just delicious, but they are not difficult to make. It is not like making North Carolina barbecue or making pork shoulder or any of that kind of thing. So that's what we're about to dig into. And if that sounds like a good time to you, hang on, we'll be right back.
Hey, let's just always get faded. Let's just always get faded.
Okay, so here we are. We are baking cat head biscuits. These are going to go in a 350-degree oven for 15 minutes. I've made two kind of biscuits. I made a regular biscuit and I made something called a cat head biscuit. And I think when you see the difference, you're going to understand what that is. Okay, so do you see the difference? These here are the cat head biscuits. These are two regular biscuits. So you can see the difference in the size. The only reason they're called cat head biscuits is because they're as big as a cat's head. It is not cruelty to animals. It is just a southern thing. So this is our workspace. What we have here is a butterfly chop. So this cut is from the loin, the pork loin. Thank you, Alton Brown. I'm going to show you where that is. That is right up here, the center loin. This whole thing that sits right along the back of the pig, this is the sirloin or the loin or the pork loin. It's described many ways. It is a very tender part of the pig because it's not used much. And it is usually pretty round. It is the cut that is used for the tenderloin biscuit. I've got this in a very large freezer bag. Freezer bags are a bit thicker, and that's what I want. One of the things that drives me insane that I do see a lot on cooking videos is that people will just take a piece of meat and they'll put it onto a board. They'll put it onto maybe a stone countertop or something just out like that, and they'll start banging on it. First of all, I don't really want this touching my meat. Okay, I don't want this metal touching my meat. That's just me, all right? But the second thing that is the problem with that is that if you've ever watched a murder mystery or a cold case file or any kind of forensic type thing, you'll know that when you bang something, there's splatter, all right? And in this case, yes, if I were to just bang these outside of the bag, there'd be pork splatter everywhere. Raw pork is not a thing that you want touching all these areas. Neither is raw chicken. You will get very sick from having any kind of cross-contamination from that kind of thing. It is just as easy as putting it in a bag and using the flat side of your meat tenderizer. You don't want to use this side because this will drive the plastic down into the meat. Use the flat side, and we're going to make these a little flatter, and they're going to get to be a little bit bigger. Okay, so here I've done one. You can see how much bigger it got compared to what it was in the original size. I think you can see that. I hope you can see that. I hope you can see the comparison there. All right, we're going to do the other one. Okay, so you can see how thin that tenderloin is. And that's pretty big. I have big hands. I have like big man hands. So you can see how nice and thin that is. When we cook that, I'm telling you, that is going to be so soft. It's just going to melt in your mouth. Okay, so I know that you can't really see everything I'm doing here, but the spices are not complicated. We have a pan, hot oil here. Always be very, very careful around hot oil. Nothing to play with. We have this on like a medium heat, little, like maybe medium high, because this isn't going to take a long time to cook. But you don't want it on high heat because your flour will burn before your meat will cook. But this meat being very thin, it is going to cook relatively fast. What we have here is we have our pork chops. We have flour, all-purpose flour. You can use self-rising if you want. It's going to give you like a little bit extra, not really crisp, but it's going to give you like a little puffiness on the outside, kind of like tempura. So if you like a tempura type structure, you can use self-rising flour, but I don't use it. Most Southerners don't use it. You're just going to use a little bit of flour. Now, if you want to be fancy, some places are fancy, they put a coating on, which is like a batter. So they'll use egg and then a flour dredge, and then so they'll dredge in flour, egg, dredge again, and then fry it. That's going to give you like a batter coating on it. That's going to be more like Southern fried chicken. This is going to be more like pan fried. And a pan fried chicken would be just done in flour and then done in the pan. Now, we do not season flour. Don't season your flour. Season your meat. The meat is what needs to absorb all the flavor. So this recipe is very simple. We're going to put salt on it, and we're going to put pepper on it. And you're probably going to want to look at it and go, this is how much pepper I would use. And then use a little bit more. Okay. I am using white pepper because that kind of gets me there faster. So I'm just putting white pepper. You do not touch raw pork with your hands. Don't use gloves or use tongs. All right. Just kind of pushing that pepper in there a little bit. Flip it. And salt the other side. Okay. I'm just using a regular ground Mediterranean salt from Sprouts. I wanted the grinders, so I bought it from Sprouts. Their salt isn't special, no matter what they tell you. All right, once that's done, we're just gonna put it in that flour and kind of push it down in there, okay? This is so easy. It's really, really easy. And then you're going to flip it over carefully. You don't want flour or pork going all over the place. All right. Push it down in the flour. I know there are chefs that advocate using your hands. Do you have fingernails? Would you like to trim your fingernails back as short as a chef's? Real short, back to the nail bed? And don't use your hands. That's a source of cross-contamination. Your fingernails are a huge source of cross-contamination. Chefs, if you notice, keep their fingernails really, really, really short. And if you don't believe me, look at Bobby Flay's nails sometime. They are short. All right, so once we've got this nicely coated with flour, remember it's the meat that's seasoned, not the flour. We're going to lay that down in there to sizzle. We're going to do about 3 minutes on each side. Okay, so something that's super, super handy to have is a meat thermometer. You can get one of these kinds that have the dial on them. So in this case, pork should be cooked to an internal temperature of 145 degrees. All right, so when you use this type, you've got to make sure that you get that end in the middle of the pork, not through the pork and down into the hot grease, because you'll get a bad reading. Okay, so while that is finishing up, I wanted to kind of get away from there because it's awfully loud. So the cathead biscuits, you can make your own if you want to. As with all my recipes, there's usually some element of it that is not exactly homemade. In this case, these are a canned buttermilk biscuit that we just combined 2 biscuits, rolled them out, cut them again, and made a bigger biscuit. It's a very easy breakfast, but honestly, there's a reason why the Country Barbecue sells this all day long, and that is because people will eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Not all 3 meals every day. I'm saying they will eat it at breakfast or lunch or dinner. Okay, not gonna say that they won't eat it for every meal. You want to add a little extra razzle dazzle though, you can always save your bacon grease and you can fry it in that. Pork fried in pork. It's the South, honey. They're not about clear arteries. I'm a transplant. I wasn't raised in the South. I met my husband online and moved down here to be with him. We actually live in a larger city. But one of the things I do love about this and will carry with me forever is learning the cuisine, learning the cooking in the South. I was lucky enough to learn from 3 very lovely ladies. Sorry, 2 very lovely ladies. My husband's mother didn't cook, but 2 of her friends sure did and taught me a lot. And her husband did and taught me a lot, and still does. And he's taught me a lot. And one of the things I will carry with me always are my Southern recipes and my love of Southern cuisine. I think our first pork loin is ready to pull, so let's go take a look. Okay, there is our pork tenderloin biscuit. It is literally just that beautiful pork tenderloin on a biscuit. There's no butter, there's no mayonnaise, there's no extras, there's no nothing. Some people put a little hot sauce on there like that. That is it. That is all you have to do. And it is the best breakfast ever. Okay, so you can see we have cut that open, and you can see that beautiful, beautiful pork inside. That is super tender. Now that is a breakfast for anybody. Anybody. Girls, don't be afraid. Just dig it. Okay, so that is our pork tenderloin biscuit. Very simple, very easy recipe. Something you can make ahead. Something you can make ahead and just heat up for breakfast. You don't have to make them that big. You can make smaller ones on smaller biscuits if that's what you want. But in the South, well, that's how big they make them. A lot of times one of the side dishes they'll serve with it is tater tots. That's a big deal. But you can put hash browns with it if you want to. You can pretty much put any kind of anything with it that you want to. If you even want to put anything with it. It's a big sandwich. I hope you enjoyed this week's Foodie Friday. I hope you'll join me next week. We're going to make another breakfast sandwich that is actually a discontinued item that we're going to teach you how to make. I hope wherever you are, you're having a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, or a great night. I hope you're taking care of yourself. Take care of each other. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye, y'all.
Ey, ey, ja, das ist alles gefaded, das ist alles gefaded.